My mom talks about the fights that she had with
Your
Meri
mom
here and
talking
there.
the fight? Your mom talking with the fight?
She doesn't talk about every single one of them. She just talks about a couple of them. But I actually remember a lot of the fights or arguments that she would have. I remember.
Hi, besties. Okay. Christine Brown and Meri Brown's tenuous relationship is a big talking point right now. And McKelty Padron addressed aspects of this that were described in the book by her mother. And she spoke about her own experiences with Meri. McKelty pointed out that she was always a little bit different than the rest of her siblings and that she received a lot of the brunt of Meri and her wrath, although Meri didn't always discriminate and apparently also took things out on other siblings. So it wasn't just McKelty. McKelty, in fairness, when I believe she says that she was different than her siblings, she did disclose aspects of her self on her Patreon, and this was when she was older and in high school. But when she was older in high school in Vegas, she was a wild girl. I mean, she was a party girl. She shared a story about how when she was in high school, she was invited to this party and she got way too tipsy, and her mom had to pick her up, and her mom would just pick her up anytime she was tipsy. And that was never talked about on the show, by the way. But McKelty was more of a creative. I think she was more of a rebel and maybe pushed back a little bit on the rules of the cult. And she was more creative in what she wanted to wear. She wanted to wear less modest clothing, but that I don't think was any less different than any of the other older girls. Maddie also wanted to wear shorter skirts. And by shorter skirts, I mean like right above the knee. But in fairness, she addressed aspects of the book where she said that it was nice for her mom to actually bring this up and write about it. This isn't the first time that Christine has wrote about it, and I thought Christine wrote about a incident that she claimed happened in Lehigh that she and Meri got into a big fight about, and she said that that was one of the moments where it was over. But McKelty said that there was several of these types of fights, so I don't think there was like one moment. I don't think it's one crystal clear issue. And honestly, if I were to put myself in their shoes, I'm a mom. I only have one child, but I don't like anyone yelling at my kid. I don't even like to yell at my kid. I don't like harsh discipline. I'm not someone that does discipline. I'm more of a let's redirect, like let's find something else to do, unless the behavior is something that, we need to have a talk about. But beyond that, like I just don't believe in corporal punishment, or we never did timeouts. We rarely ever have to yell, and so when I read about, these disagreements that they're having about their kids, I think it would be hard. There's a lot of kids. There wasn't a lot of money, and you're having to deal with your rivals' children, which would make things even worse. And that your rival is your sister wife, who you're supposed to be in a, loving relationship, but you're not. And Christine in the book writes about how she's like the kind of mom that doesn't like to have too many rules, which is fine. I don't have a lot of rules as a mom either. But she was all about like kids need to be kids. If kids want to jump on the bed, I'm fine with them jumping on the bed. If kids want to go through the cupboards and play with the Tupperware, I'm fine with that. But that was like not anything that Meri was okay with. Meri wanted her house to be a certain way, and she didn't want kids to be rowdy. And there were times on the show where sometimes Christine's son was out of control or really mean to like the little girls. And Christine really didn't do anything about it. So if I put myself in the position of Meri and you see that happening and she's not going to say anything, that puts her in an uncomfortable situation too. So I'm not discounting that things happened in this house. I just think that when you have parenting problems and you have other parents trying to step in and parent your kids, there's always going to be a conflict because nobody wants anyone to tell their kid what to do. Like, don't boss my kid around. Don't speak to my kid like that. I mean, that brings out the mama bear in all of us, right? I remembered a clip from the honeymoon episode that I just wanted to show you quick as an example of what I'm talking about.
Edward, get up.
Yay!
Mom, can you roar off my spot?
Other spot.
Thanks to you. I like the spot I was in.
You don't get it.
Why not?
Because there's that spot there.
That's my spot.
Hayden picks on the girls sometimes, which I don't know. One side I'm kind of like, oh, that means they're integrating really well because he's treating them like sisters. And that's horrible.
I understand that, like, there's this dynamic between brothers and sisters. Listen, I'm a little sister and I understand what it's like to have an older brother. And I understand what it's like to have family members that are boys, like cousins and such. And I know what it's like to be the picked on little girl and bullied little girl. And I've always hated the whole boys will be boys and the idea that, like, a boy picks on a girl because he likes her. I think that's a horrible message to send little boys. And so there were definitely times when I would watch the show, and that's just one example. There was another episode when they all went camping and Peyton was bothering Brianna. And Brianna is like several years younger than Peyton. And one of the boys like poked Brianna in the eye and basically were just like bullying her. They were. And Meri had to yell at the kids and told them to knock it off. And Christine got so mad at her about that because she felt like it wasn't the time or the place for Meri to address it. But there's certainly times when certain behaviors by a child are just never going to be acceptable, and physical violence is never okay. I know that some people are okay with their kids hitting and fighting and such. I grew up like that and I have a lot of trauma from that. And so I don't think it's cool. I don't think it doesn't need to be natural. It doesn't need to be something that all kids do. It's a learned behavior. And I know in the case for me, it was a learned behavior because it's what we saw our parents do to us. And so if you have people, if you're hitting your kids, you're going to hit your siblings, you know? So there were definitely times throughout the seasons that I thought, you know, if no one's going to step in and correct the kids, is Peyton just allowed to run amok and foul and be awful to his siblings? Is it okay that Janelle's sons are all beating the crap out of each other on